they've turned off the power. Now, just rest assured, I have paid the bill. This is some kind of line work. Oh, thank you very much, Mrs. Mechanic. Free coffee. Coffees. So yeah, they turned off the power because for some unknown reason they decided on a Sunday to do some line work and they had to turn it off. So we are here in the darkness. So let me get set up. We'll see what's going on. We have got a pie. Hopefully, we managed to get they turned it off at 8 o'clock this morning, so we put it in the oven in the house and it's keeping warm at the moment. There we go. Look, live chat, perfect. Let's see who else we've got in the workshop. Come on, YouTube, you can do it. We have Roger Heaps. Good morning, Roger. Welcome back, matey. Roger says, good morning, Andy and crew. I wonder what it's like down in Invercargill. Is it cold down there at the moment? I bet you've got power, right? Purple Monkey, 1974. Hello, Andy. Good morning, Purple Monkey, and welcome to my cave of darkness that we've got at the moment. Yes, it's not brilliant, to be honest. I did do some work in the workshop yesterday, so we'll head across with Torchy and go and have a look at that a bit later on. And it's been quite a busy time in the workshop these last few weeks. As you've probably noticed, there's been a lot of videos going out, and there's still quite a few more in the can as well, which I've still got to edit up. And there's a few already edited and on the channel yet to be released. So there's quite a lot in the pipeline, which is, well, I'm sort of fulfilling my pledge for 2026. And I've got lots more planned. Roger Heaps, has your Facebook gone away? Cold and raining here. Yes, unfortunately, my Instagram, again, and my Facebook, again, have been hacked. Now, last time round, I was able to get my Facebook back, but not my Instagram. This time round, they've both gone. Some friendly chap or chapette in Vietnam hacked into Facebook, Instagram, and my Andy Mechanic at live.co.uk email address. The email I've managed, it seems like I've managed to secure it again. The first thing I noticed on my emails, and this is a good point for anybody else really, is that I was sent a letter of demand. Many emails of demand, actually, hundreds and hundreds. And they were showing in the inbox as a draft email, as if I'd made it on that platform and not been sent it, which was really weird. Don't quite know what's going on there. Obviously, they had access to my email platform because they kept changing the language to Vietnamese. Took me bloody ages to work out which button to press to get it back into English because I didn't understand the language. But we got there in the end. And as soon as I changed it back to English, they changed it back to Vietnamese. So we played a little game over the next couple of days, changing the language. And then what did I do then? Oh, then I blocked my own from receiving emails from my own email address. And that seemed to stop the letters or the emails coming through, which then sort of proved that they were incoming emails and not emails made on the platform. Very strange. And then, of course, I changed the password and did two-stage authentication thingy and all that kind of stuff, which I should have put in place before. So all I could recommend to you guys is if you haven't got two-factor authentication set up on your emails and other internet stuff, then I would strongly recommend that you do it. It's been a nightmare. It really has. Facebook, yeah, that's a pain because that's been going now for 17 years. There's a lot of stuff on that was on that Facebook page, and Facebook blocked the account. So obviously, whoever it was put up a post on my Facebook that then got it blocked, and I've not been able to get it recovered. Facebook are just not interested. Instagram, I'm not too concerned about that. I mean, there wasn't that much on it. It wasn't too long ago that it got hacked previously. So I will set up a new Facebook account at some point, but the motivation isn't there at the moment. So my sincere apologies. So the only way that you can communicate through to me at the moment is through my emails. So Simon, Jim, Roger, anybody out there, you've all got my email address. It's on the channel. Those emails are now working just fine. I've not noticed any kind of changes. The language hasn't changed again since, so I think we're good to go. Famous last words, touch wood. Now then, where do we get to? So it's cold and raining in Invercargill. Who would have thought? Sorry, Roger. Interesting. I'm not sure when I'll be back down to Invercargill again. We'll have to wait and see. Sergeant Joe Smith. The comedian of the community. Good morning, Sergeant Joe Smith. Hi, Andy, buddy. There'll be something. You wait, there'll be something. Simon. Good morning, Simon. Simon says, morning, Andy and crew. Do you want SP 5p for the electric meter? We did joke the other day, actually. I think on one of the previous live streams, all the lights flickered and stuff. And you're like, oh, Andy, have you not paid the bill? I had, just to confirm, I am completely up to date with my electric bill. Thank you very much. Pretty critical part of running the operation here at the Andy Mechanic Workshop is having power. For me and for Ben, to be fair, and of course for the house, we use a fair chunk, and they charge like a wounded bull for the electric over here. I don't know why. Anyway, let me know what the image is like. It doesn't look too bad from my end. Obviously, we're not running on the fiber internet. We're back on phone data, so things will be a lot slower. But it doesn't look too bad at the moment. So we're gonna, if I do move the camera around, which we will do later on, the quality might plummet like it used to do. And if it does, my sincere apologies. Jim K. Hello. Good morning, Jim. My sincere apologies you've not been able to call me recently. Yeah, it's work in progress. Jim K. Missed the start. Don't worry, matey. It's all good. I'm just having a bit of a yarn, as we'd say in Yorkshire. Simon, video is good. Excellent. I was a bit concerned about the lighting quality. I've got Torchy on the table. In fact, I'll put Torchy on and you can tell me if it's any better. Whoa! Woo! There you go. I think we can do without that because it's very glary for me, is that? Anyway. There we go. Back to normal. Sergeant Joe Smith. I have to pre-read Sergeant Joe Smith's, and Simon, if you spot something, then feel free to eliminate the comment. Here we go. I just employed a new employee, Andy. He's from New Zealand, actually. Yeah, right. I'm just going to say his first name. His name's Hugh. Yes, can you say hi? Hello, Hugh. Hi, good morning. I know what you're up to. You're going to need to find somebody else to start tricking like that, honestly. So, we got a new tool. The TD42 engine component inspection videos sort of came to a halt because one of the tools that I'd ordered, a micrometer, hadn't turned up. And so I chased it up, and sure enough, it was still sat in their warehouse. They hadn't even processed the order, which is like 2.5 weeks down the line. It's like, come on, lads, I've paid you loads of money. All you have to do is fulfill your obligation. Anyway, I managed to, obviously, for these engine measurements, you need a range of measurement tools, and micrometers only cover, each micrometer only covers a certain range of distance, you know, from 0 to 25 mil, 25 to 50, 50 to 75, and so on. So to do the journals on the crankshaft and the camshaft, we need a micrometer that's 50 to 75. And I was searching the Tinternet, and you know, we are on a budget. I have to say this, we are on a budget. I haven't even opened this. This is, I can never pronounce the name. I don't know why. I should be able to. Michutoyo. There you go. It's a Michutoyo, very good quality, 50 to 75 mil micrometer. Now these here in New Zealand, at least, are normally about $700 to $800. They are extremely expensive. I mean, you know, you get what you pay for, but I think we've got the New Zealand premium on there as well. And this one was redundant stock, and it was only 350. Now I say only 350 really quickly because Mrs. Mechanic's not in earshot, but still a fair chunk of change, right? But it finally turned up. The box itself, if I can show you the box, not too sure why this was the case. So I've got to take a few things out because they're going to fall out otherwise. Not too sure why this was the case, but it was extremely grubby. You may not see that on the camera, but there's lots of oil, fingerprints, and all sorts of stuff around the box. So it is brand new, and they had more than one of them, but it is quite grubby. So whether they bought them as from a closed down engineering company that had a few on in their parts department, and then decided to flick them on, I don't know. But at the end of the day, we got a good deal on it, so that really helps. So we've got that. We're still looking for an engineer's straight edge. It needs to be at least 700mm long. Not that many suppliers of those here in New Zealand. I can get a cheap one, a meter long, from Machinery House, which is just over $200 plus GST. So let's say $250, right? But the quality's not great. Other ones of that length are $700-800. A Starrett one, $800 plus. Serious money, and would be shipped into New Zealand. And I'm a bit concerned about shipping something like that here. Or, will it get damaged? I mean, I know they're pretty strong, but would it get bent? Who knows? And, a big chunk of change, which at the moment, budgets are very, very tight on this project. I also need another bore gauge. We've got the little tiny one for doing the valve guides. We've done that video. I've got the one for doing the cylinders. That's cool. But I also need to measure the inside diameter of the followers that basically machined into the block to see how worn they are. So that's gonna be another $300 probably, somewhere in that region. So I'm just saving up for that at the moment. But the good news is I can get on and do the crank, and I can do the camshafts. So pretty critical measurements. I think the next item that will be purchased will be the straight edge, and then we can do block warpage, head warpage, all that kind of stuff. And we can do the piston inspection video. That shouldn't be a problem. That's still on the cards. As regards conrod warpage and bend, yeah, I might need to make some kind of rig for that, which is going to require a couple of days workshop time before I can do the actual video. I made a rig yesterday, and I'll show you that today in the live stream, for doing the run out on the crankshaft and the run out on the camshaft. Now, it's not perfect. I think because it's made of well, you'll see in a minute, but it's made of a girder, so to speak, basically a spare bit of roof beam. You remember we made the beams for the workshop? There is very slight movement in that metal. It's not as rigid as I was hoping. As I was making it, and I did the preliminary sort of tests, I noticed the Myford lathe bed in the background on the workbench, actually. And I thought, Andy, that would have been perfect to make the test rig to mount the DTI and stuff from, to do these checks. So if it turns out to be inconclusive and I have to abort the video, then I'll have to start from scratch and make some V blocks. I say V blocks, it's just angle iron, right? I'm not buying V blocks that clamp to the lathe bed. It's long enough to do it, and then a DTI mount again off that cast iron lathe bed, and I think that will be more accurate. But it means starting all over again, and it'll mean at least another day in the workshop making stuff. So we'll have to wait and see, won't we? We'll have to wait and see. Anyway, where do we get to? Sergeant Joe Smith made you laugh. Haha. Making people laugh, Sergeant Joe Smith, is a really good thing, actually. There's not enough laughter in this world anymore, to be honest. So I do appreciate you being here. I really do. And trying to catch me out. Good man. Jim K. I found out this week that Gary the convict doesn't have to heat his home. What the hell? I never thought Australians could be so far north that they wouldn't need to heat. Ah. Well, yeah, I don't know. Interesting though, that saves a fair bit on the power bill, doesn't it? The Giant. Good evening, Andy and crew. How are you doing, Andy? I'm doing all right. I've been extremely busy, jumping from day job to workshop to editing. But we are getting there. It's actually going. It's going really well. Mrs. Mechanic's still busy copying all the, basically collating all the rushes from all the videos, over 1,000 videos over the years, into that RAID drive that we've got on the new computer. I actually used it for the first time to capture some thumbnails for the new intro video. If you've not seen that, do go and watch the new intro video. It's put a bit of work into that. Pretty cool. But yeah, I tried to make it a bit more informative and a bit more up to date on all the stuff we've done, because the old intro video was about 6 years old. So that was well overdue being done as well. And that was a good day's work, putting that together, you see. So it all adds up. Where do we get to? Dum 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 dum. Simon, those boxes show up all the marks. Should be a black box. Yeah, my verniers are in a black box. You're right, but yeah, that one being like a tan color, it's gonna get grubby the minute you open it, basically. But I imagine it's like new old stock, and it's been in a workshop somewhere in a cupboard, and they've maybe had 3 or 4 of them. I don't know. The important thing is it will do the job, and it's a good quality one. I do like the Mitutoyo brand. They seem to be very, very robust and accurate as well. My verniers have lasted. Geez, I bought those in England, so they're over 20 years old, and I'm not good with them. I even yesterday I was using the verniers to scribe lines. Honestly, Andy, why? Because it's quick, and I was against the clock. I did get finished though last night. I got almost told off for being late, but I did get finished. User SP6GI4YE3C. That sounds dodgy, doesn't it? Morning, Andy and crew. Good morning. User. We'll call you User. What the hell? Simon. Can Mr. Rush not mill you a straight edge? He could. He could mill me a straight edge. Could be a good little project. Yeah, or Kevin from Machine NZ. Although I think Sheldon's mill in Oamaru is bigger, so a longer bed, right? I'll message him. Well, I can't message him anymore because I haven't got Facebook Messenger. Damn. I've got his mobile number. I'll text him. I'll ask him, see what he can come up with. He might even have one that I can borrow. I'm sure he has, actually. I'd like to buy one, but at the moment finances are a bit tight, so be good to borrow one. Just get it done. Because when we did the RAV4 stuff, all the tools that I used for those RAV4 engine measurement videos were very kindly loaned to me by Unitech. They were top blokes for letting me take them off campus and do the videos. But the students found those videos super helpful because they had all those measurements to do on a Toyota 4-cylinder inline 4 engine. F4E, was it? I don't know. But yeah. Good idea though, Simon. Thank you for that. Richard Perry. Morning, Andy and crew. GB badge. Thumbs up. Cheers, matey. Sergeant Joe Smith. Pre-reading. Maybe. Watch this space. Okay, now probably time for a quick cigarette. In fact, I'll just put me micrometer back in its box because it might fall on the floor otherwise, and we don't want that. That would be sacrilege. But no, very nice. I do like it. Looking forward to using that. And I can't film today because there's no power. It wouldn't work, would it? But I think maybe one night next week, now that everything's set up, I could come in and do one of them and then do another one the next night or something. Right. You'll see that in a future video. Okay, don't drop it on the floor, Andy. It's a very strange kind of location, this. I'm not used to it. We do have a pie. Mrs. Mechanic, if you're listening, you could bring the pie out. The real Daz. Morning, Andy and crew. Good morning, Daz, the real one. Welcome back to the workshop. Apologies, we're in darkness. Things are getting slightly better now. The sunshine's coming out because we are running on natural light, obviously. For those that have just joined us, the power company has decided to turn the power off today. Now, yeah, I have paid the bill. Don't panic. We don't have any idea what time the power is going to come back on. I have a project for today, which is outside. I've got a bit of a tidy up to do, but Ben brought me some more lights down, some more of those LED. What do you call them? Like downlights, commercial ones. Very, very good they are. So I'm gonna install some more of those under the side port. I think Ben's planning to put 1 or 2 in his workshop, but I don't know how well that'll work because he's got a very low ceiling. So I don't know. They could just be really bright. He won't be able to use the diffusers because they'll hang down about a foot. But in the side port, plenty of room, right? Plenty of ceiling height, so we can do that. Boom, 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 boom. Hang on a minute. Go back. Rewind. And he's never going to forget me for the rest of his life. He's always going to be watching out for me to prank him. Yes, I am, and rightly so. Cheers. I think I've done a pretty good job to avoid some of your pranks, to be honest. Simon, that's why you should have a generator for the apocalypse. I'll probably get blocked off by YouTube now for saying apocalypse, but anyway. A generator would be a good idea, to be honest. Have considered buying one for a while. We used to have them in the UK because at the off-road site we had no power down there, so everything was run off a generator, and it used to run all day long. Best one we ever had was a Yanmar diesel, and they were always diesel, because we'd run them on red diesel, which was great, a lot cheap. I mean, back then it was a lot cheaper than normal diesel. I have no idea what it is now. Should still be a bit cheaper. Thank you, government. Yeah, the old Yanmar one, man, it lasted for years. And then it got bad to start, had low compression, so honed it, put new rings and a piston in it. Off we go again. Got another couple of years out of it. And then we looked at buying a new one to replace it, and really expensive, actually. So we started buying Chinese copies, about a third the price. So I could buy 3 Chinese ones, the price of 1 Yanmar. And they ran pretty well, so I just bought 2, and we just had a backup. So if one died, we could just fire the other one up. They were quite big metal case and everything, you know. Probably 5, 6 kVA, something like that, I think, output. It knew it when the kettle was turned on. If we had the kettle on and the heater on, it really knew it, but it managed fine. It was pretty good. Never had any electrical problems whatsoever. It was just mechanical. It just got tired, basically. So I would strongly recommend one of those. They're really good. Purple Monkey, you've moved the pie oven closer to the bench. No, I'm not at the bench. The bench is right down there in the darkness. You'll see that in a minute. We'll go for a wander. I'm actually right by we've got the 2 doors, the big metal doors for the workshop that are in the background normally. One of them is a cantilever and one's a roller door. Well, the cantilever one is open to try and get some light in, and I'm sat right at the edge of the workshop, so we're at the other end. So that's why you can see wherever it is, the pie warmer. There, look, and the cupboard that it lives in. Oh, update. When I came into the workshop this morning, and the lights were on then, so I was able to get set up at least when we had light. The first thing I noticed was that we have a rat. Mr. Ratty was up in the rafters again, and he was across the plastic. And it wasn't a mouse, because it was very stealth. He was going very slow. I mean, he must have known I could see him. Big white belly, going across. And I did notice something when I first came outside. I thought I saw something jump off the roof down onto one of the outside workbenches. I bet that was Mrs. Ratty, So we're going to have to do something about that. Can't be having rats in here again. But it's starting to get cooler again now. The summer's coming to an end, and they look for places to live. So, you can't blame them. But we're going to kill them. Yes, we are, without a doubt. I got you that one time, though. That was funny. Yes, it was. Yes. But my little alarm bells ring now, don't they, Joe? Something out of nothing. Go for, that's a new name. Welcome to the channel, matey. Go for solar. Solar power here in New Zealand is a really good idea, actually, because there's a lot of sunshine. And it's very powerful sunshine. But we plan to get the house re-roofed at some point. So once we've done that, then maybe we'll consider putting some solar power up there. Ben's got some solar power in his workshop that just charges a bank of batteries that he uses just for lighting and stuff. So he's got that sussed already. He's way ahead of me. Simon, seen a spinning sign at an event. Are you sure you're in New Zealand? And it was a cement mixer turning the sign. Yeah. Yeah, very funny. How's the pie looking?
You want your pie now?
I think we should do pie. Yeah, let's do pie. We'll move the camera as like the last thing we do to ever wander down to this jig that I made yesterday, because if we lose the quality, it's rare that it comes back. And I'm getting hungry, to be honest. Mr. Ben, come and say hello to the world.
Hello, world.
Ben is here. How cool is that? He was busy in his workshop yesterday making lots of noise. And the other day when I was filming, you'll see that. What are you? Yeah. I'm undoing a knot.
It was very tight.
I bet it was. It seemed tight. So yes, people using cement mixers for all sorts of things other than mixing cement. That's my forte. Ooh, lovely. Right. It's semi-warm, so we should get straight to it. So this is a Bake Shack, very crispy because it's been in the oven in the bag. Beef, bacon, mushroom, and cheese. Now, I don't think we've done this. Let me have a quick scan down the thingy. So Bake Shack, beef, bacon, mushroom.
I don't think you have, that's why I picked it.
Hang on a minute. Beef, bacon. Are you ready? Yes, we have already done it. So we don't need to score it. That saves me a bit of grief. Huge chunks of meat and tasty cheese. And it got 100. Let's see quality control. Let's see if the new one today replicates that. Right, we're going in. Oh, nice. Okay, quick flick around for structural integrity. Obviously, I don't have the score sheet from this anymore. It could be somewhere. Maybe I took a picture, maybe I didn't. I don't know. Okay. Looks pretty good. Are you ready? Now, it's got a very, very soggy base. So I'm going to go for the hold vertical technique, and that takes some of the pressure off the pie, off the base, but it also allows you to hold the pie around the rim, basically, so you're not putting your thumb through the pie. It's good pie management. So if you get a pie like that, there's a top tip from Andy Mechanic. Now, where do we get to? Simon, workshop cat, call it Kawakatsi. Kawakatsi, nice. We won't be having cats. We used to have cats on and off for a while here in New Zealand. I'm allergic to cats, but the kids wanted cats. But I'm allergic to cats, but the kids wanted cats. Don't know what happened to them. Honest. I'm surprised how hot it is, actually, because the oven went off ages ago. Something out of nothing. Being with from the start, just changed the name. Solar has come down in price. Okay, makes sense. Yeah, it has. It's come down an awful lot of the solar panels. Much cheaper now than they used to be. And I've watched a fair few videos on solar power, panel installation and stuff like that. Definitely something we could do. Not a problem at all. But there's no point in putting them up there. I mean, we have a tile roof as well, which makes it a bit of a pain. And I think the tile roof's going to get swapped out for a corrugated iron roof, color steel or something like that. But it's quite expensive, so it's just going to have to hang off a little bit. It's more of a retirement thing than it is a current thing. tasty. I'll give you that. Bake Shack. It's tasty, all right. Not had any big chunks of meat yet, but I'm only gingerly waking way in because it's very hot. Dum 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 dum. Something out of nothing. Bean, I mean. No, I got it. I got it. Oh, Sheldon. Excellent. Good morning, boss. Good morning, sir. Sir Sheldon. How are you? I have a question for you. Simon came up with a plan, and you know, and put this forward as a notion. I'm in need of an engineer's straight edge. I don't have one that's long enough to do the TD42 engine. I need one at least 700 mil long. Question 1A, do you have one that you could lend me? Question 2B, if you don't, could you knock something up on the mill, which will be accurate enough? Possibly, possibly not. It needs to be super accurate, otherwise it's pointless doing the measurements. I have to ask. Let me know what you think. I'm sure you've got one, but have you got one that's going to be long enough? That's the question. Because I need to do warpage on the head, warpage on the block. From memory, I don't remember that engine ever being overheated. Certainly not during the time that I owned it. We were very good at, you know, fixing coolant leaks. And I remember I put a water pump on it when we first came to New Zealand and put a new radiator in it. Not that it's any good anymore, but, you know, it had one. So I don't think there should be any significant warpage, but you never know until you test it, right? Purple Monkey. What was the previous name? I don't know. Oh, that urban guy. Okay, thumbs up. Ta-dum. You going for your bike ride?
In a minute.
In a minute. There you go, people. It's very, very soft on the base, so I'm keeping it vertical. It's not good at all, to be honest, this one. And I don't think that's anything to do with it being in the oven. We don't normally have that problem. Although it was in the bag. Which means it does. I can't read it. It's too small these days. Right. Oh, there's stuff coming in. It is very, very hot. So sorry about the delay on the pie. Sheldon. Mine wouldn't be long enough for a 6. And mill one probably not accurate enough finish wise. I thought so. Worth asking though, right? I think Machinery House is probably the best option. You can get a meter long one for about $200 and something, but I need to check on what accuracy level the machine to. I'm sure it'll be all right, but there's no point in buying something that's not going to be accurate enough to, well, do the job. It just becomes a piece of metal, doesn't it? Oh, there you go. Big, big, big chunks of meat. Bake Shack, you've done it again. I mean, Bake Shack are not particularly expensive pies, but they're actually, for what they cost, they're actually pretty good pies. I know they're not a sponsor, but they can be if they want to be. We went into Taupo the other day and called in at the BP, Wild Bean Cafe. And not yesterday, sorry. When was it? Friday. Went shopping. So we picked up a couple of pies, one for me, one for Ben. And the plan was to eat them yesterday. And we completely forgot about them. I mean, Ben didn't know about it. It was a surprise for Ben. So I totally forgot. Mrs. Mechanic totally forgot. So we've got another pie in the fridge, ready to go. But that'll be tomorrow, I think. I'm not going to have 2 pies in a day. That's just being greedy. Now, you can see the problem. We're starting to get, because it's so hot, I'm nibbling my way around the outside. See you later, Ben. And we've got this sort of pocket stud in the middle, which could cause a problem. We could lose content if I'm not super careful. Wow. Like a little parcel, isn't it? Of meat and gravy and stuff. Not come across much cheese yet, though. Roger Heaps. Zeus is now 30 odd kilograms. He's getting that heavy. It's just not worth weighing him anymore. 30 kgs. That is, and how old is he again now? That is ridiculous. Simon, I know you're doing it by the book, but the old trick with a sheet of glass and oil to check the head and block. Yeah, I don't have a piece of glass anywhere near big enough. And I'm not taking one out of the house. And the stuff in the house is so thick. It's very old glass, most of it. And it's very, very, very thin, cheap glass. I replaced a few panels, a few panes when we did the house up because of some that were cracked. But the rest of them, super thin. I'm amazed no more are broken, to be honest. I think most of them got broken when we were sanding the frames with the electrics of the palm sander, and the vibration cracked the glass. Not good. Okay, we're not out of danger yet. We've still got a chunk there, look, that I need to nibble my way through. But good breakfast, though. Good breakfast. Good idea, Simon. Like I said, I just don't have a pane of glass big enough. And I'd like to get a straight edge. I'd like to do it properly. Because that's what the videos are all about, right? Doing it properly. But I will mention that. I'll mention that little tip in the video. I often tell the dealers, you know, because many of them haven't got one. I don't know of any that have got an engineer's flat plate, right? Which is, it's not ideal. But, you know, use a pane of glass. You can check. But we always do hardness tests as well. And they don't have a hardness tester. So they end up sending them away. Get the engineering company to do it. I have a hardness tester. Keep it in my ute now. So if I'm at a dealer's and they've got one that needs testing, we can do it there and then. Saves them some dollars. It's good. It's nice to have the kit. The Giant. I have a Starrett, but the problem is that I am in South Africa. Yes. Thank you, the Giants. I appreciate the offer. But a little bit, it probably costs more in freight than it would to buy another one. But, you know, I'm pleased that you've got one. Starrett's they're a good brand. Make some good gear. User. Can you use a 1 meter long steel rule to check the head for flatness? Nope. Let's just put that to bed right now. You can't use a ruler. It has to be an engineer's, you know, basically, you know, flat bar that's been accurately machined, because, you know, you're talking of very, very small measurements that you check with the feeler gauge. And unfortunately, rulers are just not made to that kind of tolerance. They just aren't. They might look straight. They're not going to be straight. And actually, I have a 1 meter long rule, steel. So we could put that in the video and highlight why you can't use one. Very good idea. So you guys are great. You give me loads of ideas. Okay. We're almost out of the danger zone. That's what we've got left. Hang on. I think we've managed to prevent any kind of leakage. It's a bit early, you know, touch wood, but we're doing all right. Okay, where do we get to? Roger Heaps, bit over 4 months. Wow, 30 kgs in 4 months. I mean, obviously it weighed a little bit when it came out, but it wasn't a lot, right? That is impressive. What the hell are you feeding it? Steak? I had a friend back in the UK, Paul Eastwood, good lad. His father, Ted, who's passed away now, who was my godfather, top bloke, taught me all sorts of stuff. We spent many, many nights in his little tiny workshop working on old British bikes until the early hours of the morning. It was great fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Such a different life. But now Paul had a Doberman Duke. it was called. Fierce. Fierce. I once walked up to the gate. They had a high gate, wooden gate, so you couldn't see through it. And although I think there was a hole for the latch, you know, so the dog would jump up and look through the hole with one of his eyes. And I got off my motorbike and I walked up to the gate to go into the backyard, but had my helmet on, my crash helmet. Man, that dog didn't know it was me, went absolutely ballistic. There was no way I was going in that backyard. Not a chance. Even though I knew the dog, I wasn't going in. But that dog used to get fed steak. As he was growing up, he got steak every day. Steak. What the hell? Right, last bit. We're going in. I wouldn't have eaten that in the car. A lot of crumbs everywhere. Okay, so we're going to have a little wander. My sincere apologies if the quality goes. And I'm going to have to turn you around in a minute because we've got bikes, blue bikes that can't go on the channel. So if I grab that first, I can turn you around now. Boom. Grab Torchy. It's like Apollo 13, this. Okay, here we go. We got Torchy. Torchy is going to light the way for us. Okay, so this is what I came up with yesterday. Can you see? Sorry about the quality of the light, but we're almost flying blind here. So we've got, this is the spare bit of roof beam that I had left over. And it's got the camshaft in at the moment. And we've got these little V-blocks that just bolt on. This one's for the crank. So I have to take this one out when I do the crank. That's the original camshaft out of the engine, out of my engine. I used a crankshaft out of one of the other engines to make up the V-blocks, but they came out pretty well. You get the torch a bit closer. There you go, look. Quite happy with that. You know, hand filed, by the way, not machined. We go around this side. Isn't it weird seeing the workshop dark? Ooh. And that's the mount for the DTI. There, look. Can I get you down a bit? Oh, it's already upset now as the camera. There you go. I'll pull it out a little bit. So yeah, I did notice that when I was rotating the cam or the crank, the reading on the DTI changed a bit until I let go, and then it settled down again. So when I'm doing the tests, I'll have to just rotate it in increments, take a reading, let go, and then take a reading. Move it again, let go, take another reading, just to avoid that kind of interference. But I think the little V-blocks came out really well, actually. Quite happy with that. Just lucky I had a piece left over. That's the Myford lathe bed down there. So if that doesn't work, I'll have to make some V-block clamps blocks that will clamp to that. Maybe some kind of a steel plate that sits under here that's threaded, you know, so I can just put a center bolt down it and clamp it onto the bed. Needs a bit of a clean, doesn't it? Sorry, Myford lathe thing. But, you know, at least it's getting used for something at the moment, if we do decide to do that. But yeah, took me a day to make that, to be fair. Wasn't easy. But it was easy, it just wasn't quick, you know, and you've got to make things look nice as well, haven't you, to be fair. Oh, bring on the power. It's just not the same with no power, is it? Okay, I'm going to take you back, because that's pretty much everything I've got to show you down there. I'll get rid of Torchy, and I'm going to turn you around. 3, 2, 1, boom. There we go, I'm back. We've got some sunshine. That's cool. Okay. Right, we're still working? Yeah, it's still working. We're good. I imagine the quality has dropped a little bit. It doesn't look too bad though. Okay. Now this live stream won't be as long as a normal live stream. I'm not going to inflict pain on you of all this data. You can see a bit more of the workshop now that the cells, yes, it is a bit more pixelated. You can see on here, look. Yeah. Hopefully it'll come back. Hopefully. So, comments. Where do we get to? Oh, there's a few. Message directed. Okay, Simon. Sparking of kit. Oh, speaking of kits, the snapped glow plug came out the first time this year. 2 hours to get the plug out. Drilled my hand? I hope not. Drilled by hand and saved the threads. Sometimes luck's a good thing. On the original TD42 head, the one that's off my engine, that does have a snapped exhaust stud. I've drilled it out. I tried all sorts of stuff, right? You know, I tried drilling it a little bit and using a thread extractor, bolt extractor thing. That didn't work, so I drilled it out some more, and it just needs to be retapped now. I priced, wait for this, right? I priced up a tap set, so I always buy them in sets. So a starter, a mid, and a blind tap for, you know, a blind hole. So 3 taps. I think it's M12, M10, probably M10. It can't be 12. M10, fine, metric, $250. My buy price plus GST for 3 taps. Holy crap! So again, I've just held off getting those for now because we're not at that stage. We don't know if the head's reusable. We haven't done a crack test on it. There's all sorts of stuff we have to do. Now, at this point in time, Ben, it's a shame he's not here because he could tell you actually, Ben has been unable to source genuine replacement valve guides. And we know the valve guides are dead, basically. They need to be replaced. And no wonder, given the mileage the vehicle's done. We know the valves need to be replaced. We can get new valves. We know the valve springs need to be replaced, and I don't think he's managed to find new valve springs either. So, bit of a problem at the moment, but we'll keep trying, we'll keep looking. We deal with a company in Auckland called Engine Specialities. They do all the machining work, or have done in the past for me. And I direct a lot of the motorcycle shops to them as well because it's good quality gear. You've done me another coffee. I'm still going with this one. Jesus Christ, woman.
Oh, you're a bit slow, aren't you?
I do you so. Oh, Andy Mechanic mug. Nice. I went to go and see Brandon at 10 Tools the other day at ISL Industrial. And there he was, sat at his desk, working hard. Morning, Brandon. And he had a coffee, and the coffee cup was the Andy Mechanic one that I gave him years ago. Made me smile. And he says, nah, every morning I have my coffee out of the Andy Mechanic mug. That's my mug. Thank you very much. So, top bloke. And he helped me a lot with the pricing on some of the stuff that we bought that you've seen already. A little ITM micrometer. I picked up basically a 1 to 2 inch, so it was imperial micrometer. They were getting rid of that. $17. It wasn't a digital one, it's the old school one. But $17. Couldn't say no, right? $17. Last one in stock, they just wanted rid of it. So I bought that, you know, because like $17 was like 2 coffees now here in New Zealand. It's ridiculous. Now then, just rewind on the comments. Okay, so something out of nothing. So what is the problem with the power? Is it your property or the area? No, it's the area, and I have paid the electric bill, and they did send us a text. Well, Mrs. Mechanic got a text about a week ago, 2 weeks, no, 2 weeks ago it would have been, telling us that they oh, that was the reminder text though, wasn't it? We got one way before that. Just reminded us that they're going to be doing some lines work today, and the village will be without power. So we have no power at the moment. They said it could be all day. Hopefully it won't, but you know, it is what it is. We'll work around it. It's, you know, I've got other stuff I can get on with. I had a busy day in the workshop yesterday, tidying up. I did some work on the Bonneville. Believe it or not, yes, I have. The Bonneville is finished. The video will go out at some point in the next few weeks. I don't exactly know when I'm going to release that one. Heads up, there's a bit of a rant. Sorry, couldn't help myself. So hopefully that puts that one to bed. I have paid the electric bill. We're running on battery power at the moment and phone data, so you know that's why the quality's not quite as good, and that's why the workshop's dark. Where do we get to? Simon, what did YouTube not like about Roger's comment? Was it held for review? I didn't see that. I didn't even see it at this end. The last Roger comment I've got is that it was a bit over 4 months old, was the puppy, that's now 30 kilograms. So if you're seeing one that I'm not, I don't know. Don't know what's happened with that. John Nuttall. Hey, morning, John. Welcome back to a very dark workshop this morning. John says, marble fireplace or marble tabletop or under a snooker table all work well. Oh, yes. Yes, the slate bed of a snooker table. They're pretty flat, aren't they? Marble tabletop. Good idea. Very good idea. I will mention that. In fact, I'll take a picture of that. Because I will forget, as always. I forget all sorts of stuff. There we go. It's in the phone. All I have to do now is remember it's in the phone. Roger Heaps, lathe bed, not flat enough or long enough to test the head. No, I don't think so. Not wide enough either. No, not wide enough, unfortunately. Simon, the Myford, does the top of the bed sum off? That going to be true? Honestly, it's like Da Vinci Code sometimes with you, Simon. Is the top of the lathe bed true? That's a good point, actually, because we know it's a bit worn at the chuck end, isn't it? It'll still work fine for the DTI stuff, though, won't it? For the run out check, because as long as everything's held static, that's the critical part. Doesn't matter if it's a little bit skew-if. It'll be fine. It'll work fine for that. Oh, Purple Monkey, most attractive. Simon, may have a spare set of M10 fine taps. That would be good. That would be really good, Simon. Let me, I'll email you. We're still emailing, right? But you'll have to email me first, because the hacker deleted years and years of old received emails. Honestly. So yeah, just flick us you've got my email address, flick me an email. I'll double check the thread and the size, and then we'll go from there. As a plan B. Simon, is the go-kart No, not at the moment. But now that the Bonnie's out of the way, and I did tell you that I was going to finish some projects. The go-kart, it's definitely on for this year, without a doubt. Looking forward to getting back to it. Still finding parts lying around the place for it, like wheels and steering wheel and other bits and pieces. So I need to get all those together. And then I think it's going to be a couple of days in the workshop bending some pipe, or trying to get the pipe bent, because it's pretty thick wall stuff. And once we get the frame welded up, good to go, right? Just basically paint it, put it back together, find an engine. Got the DR200 one down. No, it's not going to be the YZ engine. DR200 motor down the garden and the loom, and we'll see what happens. It should be fun. We'll get Mrs. Mechanic to test drive it up in the forest. That'd be a laugh, wouldn't it? Simon, Roger, feeding him loads. Sent Mrs. Mechanic a picture of all three on our bed, was the comment. Oh, okay. I never saw that one, Roger. It didn't arrive at this end. Right, so you've got the picture, have you? Very good. Very good. Simon, it's been a long week. Every week this last few weeks have been long weeks for me. Sheldon, what engine's going in the go-karts? Well, at this point in time, because again, it's all on a budget, right? I've got another DR200 trail bike, not the Trojan, down the garden. And I know the engine's good, or it was, before it got parked up. I actually rode it around and we got it on a video and we fired it up. So, and it was in pretty good nick till I started rubbing bits off it. So we've got an engine and a carb and a loom. So we should be good to go. That's the plan. Ah, Bill! Welcome back, matey. Sorry though, the workshop's in darkness. I have paid the bill. Bill, get it? But they're doing line work today, so we've got a power cut, basically the whole village. Bill says, "Hi Andy, we've measured gauge blocks with Mitsutoyo and calipers from Liddy's supermarket. No difference." Ah, that's interesting. So the quality is the same. I will check it out. Simon, thank you, Bill. Simon, 350 YPVS. No, it's not going to happen, right? You know, I'm just not doing. And one of those motors over here now is worth a bomb. Ben's got a 350 YPVS bottom end. He won't give me that. And I wouldn't want to put it in anyway. I mean, that little chassis won't cope with that kind of power. No chance. Tony Kart Racer. Ooh, good name. Can you handle the power of the mighty Honda VTEC though? Ooh-wee. Can I? Or can the go-kart? He's not getting one of them. Lol. Very good, sir. Very good. A cigarette all gone. Right. Okay, so a quick summary on the Pi. It scored 100. Where has it gone now? There, look. Just for those that have just joined us. The Pi we had today was a Bake Shack, beef, bacon, mushroom and cheese, which is, we've already scored it, and it got that last time, which is 100, and the comments were nice chunks of meat, or huge chunks of meat, and tasty cheese. I did find the cheese in the end. It was only one place. 100 seems about right, to be fair. The pie was pretty good. And they're not expensive, the Bake Shack pies, so it was good value for money as well, which is excellent. Roger Heaps, there's a Banshee rolling for sale down here, no motor. Don't get me started. I know where there's a full Banshee, a complete Banshee, and I have been asking to buy it for a very, very long time. I know somebody else has got their eye on it now as well, but I do get on with the owner really well, so maybe one day it'll come my way. I don't know. Ben would be over the moon because that's the one quad ATV that we really want in the lineup. We've got a bit of a collection of quad bikes at the moment. Oh, and Ben, we got an email through the other day. Ben might have a 350 to service that came through. I can't do it. No, I can't do it. That'll be a conflict at work. But Ben could do it. I can pass that job on to Ben, no problem at all. That's not a conflict. So I just told the guy to get in contact with Ben. Something out of nothing. So getting back to the solar, I have a small 3 kilowatt system in the UK, just running 24/7. Items like fridge, freezer, modem, CCTV, lights, just on a dedicated circuit, not for going off grid. Yeah, I mean, I received that. That's interesting, actually. It's good to have, and and those fridges and freezers and stuff. I mean, at the moment, our fridge and freezer isn't being powered. They can cope with a day as long as you don't open and close the doors too often. But any more than that, and your food starts to get compromised. So, good idea to have that running in case you're away from home and there is a power cut. You could be away for a weekend and you wouldn't know. Come home to a flood, basically. So very clever way of doing it. But I've received quite a few emails and stuff from people that are planning to do to go off grid and to run their property or mobile home or whatever it is on solar power, but also have a generator, and how to have the generator automatically flick on when the solar power system goes down or whatever, or the batteries are too low, in a way that the generator doesn't harm the generator. I've not really got too involved with all that kind of stuff, and I always point them in the direction of a Sparky, basically an electrician, to do it properly. It's not a cheap option to get it set up properly with all the right switchgear and stuff, but it's the right way of doing it. The last thing you want to do is cause damage to your generator. And often people tend to buy generators that are just not big enough. They just look at the maximum power output and think and consider that as the norm. And that's not the case. You've got to allow at least 15-20% margin, over and above on capacity output. Otherwise, you end up buying the wrong generator, and it doesn't like it. And some generators don't work with solar power. So you've got to do your research before you buy. Definitely, I know a few people that have been burnt because of it. Not literally burnt, but they've bought the wrong one and they've spent the budget on a generator that isn't going to do the work. Something out of nothing might be good for you when stuff like this happens. Yeah. It's not often we have power cuts, and I mean, if it's during the week and I'm away, it doesn't bother me. Mrs. Mechanic is fine for a few hours without any power. It's not a problem, but it's actually quite nice not to have power for a bit. It gives you a bit of time off, But yeah, solar power, it's a good idea. Purple Monkey, no government schemes in New Zealand? Probably is. Not really investigated it, to be honest. Roger Heaps, there's some sort of interest-free government subsidy for solar here. Not sure on the criteria. No, I've not researched it. I'm not in a position at the moment to do it. We want to get the roof done first. So at some point we'll look at it. Talking of power and fuel, New Zealand fuel prices have skyrocketed. Recently, we all know why. If you've not been watching the news, watch the news. There's bad stuff going down. Diesel fuel, and Roger, you can chip in if you want from Invercargill, but in Taupo, diesel fuel has jumped from $1.70-ish, 50-ish, somewhere around there, $1.50 to $1.70 a litre, has jumped now to $2.70 a litre. It's gone up by $1 a litre. It's a massive jump, and it happened very, very quickly. Petrol prices, unleaded 91 now is over $3 a litre. That's the 91. I think the 98 is up to $3.60 odd or something. Fuel is very, very expensive at the moment. It's not looking good for people that have to use their cars to get to work every day. So what's the prices down in Invercargill at the moment, Roger? Simon, a 10 kV generator should be okay for running lights and fridge, modem, etc. Yeah, you see a lot of people, they don't go to 10k over here. Oh, a 5, I'll buy a 5, that'll do it. I've added up a few things, and it only comes up to 4.8 kVA, 4,800 watts. It'll be fine. Running the poor little things at capacity, and then they forget all the other stuff they've got plugged in as well. They just seem to count the big things, and all the little stuff adds up as well. Simon, £1.65 a litre in the UK now for diesel. £1.65, so 2.5 times that. What's that? I can't work it out. 3. Wow, that's expensive. Actually, 1.65 times 2, about 2.4, I think it is. Yeah, so $4. $4 a litre equivalent. Whew. That's pricey. The difference here in New Zealand is we also pay road user charges per kilometre. So when you factor that in, the gap will be closer, cost per mile, cost per kilometre, But overall, still more expensive in the UK at the moment. Wow. Has the price suddenly gone up in the UK because of what's going on around the world, Simon? Have you noticed a significant price hike recently? Richard Perry, on the way back from Worcester today, £1.60 for diesel per litre. Jeez. Roger Heaps, diesel is $2.34, 91 is $2.97, and 95 $3.15. Thanks, Roger. Yeah, a little bit cheaper down there, but not by much. And it's a long way to go to get it right. Chris Champion. What's up, fellow mechanics? He's got the shades on. Nice. USA. We sell by the gallon, not litre. You do. It's about 4.5 litres is per gallon, approximately. Simon, 10p in 1 week. 10p a litre in 1 week. Jeez, that's a reasonable hike. I mean, New Zealand's hike's been a lot more than that, to be fair. It's been a very sudden jump by $1 for the diesel. I don't think the petrol's jumped as much as that per litre. John Nuttall, try looking at flights back to the UK prices now compared to last month. Ooh, I don't look at flights to the UK. I'm not going back to the UK, unfortunately. But yeah, flights are a problem. Ben was talking to one of his friends in Israel, wasn't he?
Yeah, in Israel.
So he went to Israel. His partner, he's married now, so his wife.
Wife and his little baby.
Yeah, went with his wife, his little baby, and because his wife's family live in Israel, right? So he went over on holiday to go and see her family about 4 or 5 weeks ago. 3-week holiday, still there. Can't get out, stuck in Israel, and he is in the bombing zone. He is. There's bombs going off around him. He said there was a drone flew past his house where he's staying. He was talking to Ben for quite a while, but pretty worrying, to be honest. And I said to Ben, I said, if that was us, if we were there and we were stuck in that country, a war zone country, we would have not even bothered waiting for our return flights. We'd have bought a cheap car and driven out of the place and got to somewhere in Europe that we could fly out of. I just wouldn't hang around. It's a bad deal, and we don't know if he's going to make it out alive or not, to be honest. It's pretty worrying, really, that how things can suddenly change and your life trajectory can end up being very different to what you planned a few weeks earlier. Oh my word, you guys are busy. Roger Heaps, US gallons closer to 4 litres than a UK. Oh, okay, all right then. So a US gallon is smaller than a UK gallon. Okay, sorry, my apologies. Pete 6102, $5 a gallon for diesel in Nevada, USA. $5 a gallon. Yeah, that's still cheaper than New Zealand. Significantly cheaper than New Zealand. Peter Hads. Similar jump in Oz. Wow. It's going up, isn't it? It's going up. And is it going to keep going up? Is it going to be similar to what we experienced in COVID? I remember the fuel prices during COVID, man, they went sky high. I think we got to like $4 a litre for diesel. Which is mental. Absolutely mental. It didn't last for long, but it was bad. Simon, I'll be looking for an old Citroen with a 1.9 diesel with a Bosch pump that runs on vegetable oil. Yes. And if you're going around to your local chip shop, please, sir, can I have your old fatty, your old oil, chip oil? We used to get lots of 4-wheel drives coming in, usually old Discoveries, Mark 1 Discoveries, the odd Defender 90s and 110s, usually Land Rover stuff. I think there was a Shogun as well, came in once. Very distinct smell, right? It smells like a chip shop, driving past, and running on vegetable oil. And they didn't seem too bothered. You put a bit of engine oil in there and mix it up and whatever. It gives the pump a bit of lubricant. ultimately, long term, the pumps don't like it, but they seem quite happy doing it. You know, we're saving a lot of money on fuel. Good on them, I say. Chris, diesel here in the States is $4.25 per gallon. So again, there's a bit of discrepancy around there, isn't there? So Nevada's $5. You're $4.25 a gallon. Chris, US dollars. Yep. Simon, the world has gone mad. Simon, I think the world went mad a few years ago, and it's never really bounced back. There's just some really weird stuff going on. None of it really makes any sense. You know, everybody's, not everybody, but there are some people thinking that, you know, wanting stuff that they shouldn't really have any kind of claim on. And that's causing problems, isn't it? You know, the world is quite unstable at the moment. I know the New Zealand economy is not good. It doesn't matter what they tell you on the news, it's not good. There's, you know, cost of living now is going through the roof. Salaries for the last few years haven't been keeping up. You know, it's amazing really how we've managed at this end for us as a family to realistically live on one wage, because the vast majority of families can't do that now. You know, they just can't do it. They have to have at least two money earners in the household to cover all the bills and the mortgage or the rent, whatever it is. House prices have slumped a little bit because of what's going on. You know, people have less available income to buy, so it pulls down the mortgage that they can get. You know all this. It's pretty standard stuff, but it's getting pretty hard out there. And we've been saying that for a long time, but it seems to be getting harder and harder and harder year on year. Yeah, things are so expensive. They really are, and you've got to be careful. You know, if you do charge out, you've got to make sure that you're changing your charge outs to keep in line with it all. You know, if you're like, nah, not putting my prices up, I'm going to sit on it. You know, it doesn't take long before you're way behind. You've got to regularly review your charge out costs. Where do we get to? Roger Heaps, hit the like, people. Thank you, Roger. I always forget. User, how do the fuel companies get away with the price jumping? The fuel that's already landed. I don't know. They just it seems to happen almost instantaneously, doesn't it? You know, I suppose they could argue that the value of that fuel has gone up there. They want to make some money. End of the day, they're a company and they see it as an opportunity to make more money, I suppose. And most companies would do that. Chris Champion, biodiesel might be a good alternative. Peanut oil, etc. Had a Volkswagen Golf that I ran on it for 10 years. Wow. Oh, sorry, ran on it 10 years ago. People do look at alternative fuels. I remember years and years ago when we ran the fleet of little Suzuki Jeeps, which ran in a forest, right? They were a closed area, they were off the highway, but they were petrol. So I rang Customs and Excise in the UK, had a chat with this guy, and I said, look, we use these vehicles, petrol vehicles, in a forest. They don't go on the highway. They're towed down to site, and the wheels are on the road, but the engines are not running. They're only started once they get to the site. Is there any way that I can claim back some of the tax on the petrol that those vehicles use? And we used a lot of petrol in them. And he said, nope, it is what it is. That's what you're going to pay. You know, he was really hard. He was very abrupt, was the guy. Perfect chap for Customs and Excise, right? And I said, and we got talking. I said, like, if you've got a few minutes, I said, I'd like to understand this a bit more. So if I, you know, theoretically, if I was able to convert the engines or design an engine, not that I could, but design an engine that could run on water, for example, rather than petrol. We'd charge you tax on that just like it would be petrol. You'd have to declare it, all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, really? So I said, it doesn't matter what fuel the vehicles run on, you want a chunk of, you know, and you're going to charge me. Yes, doesn't matter what they run on, we will tax you on that fuel for that vehicle. And it was like, geez, that's harsh. That's really harsh, you know? But now here in New Zealand, and I don't know what it's like in the UK, but I mean, there's a lot of EVs out there running on electric, and the tax on electric as a fuel is a lot less than the tax on, oil-based fuels. So how have they got around it? Has that guy retired, and and nobody's thought, well, hang on a minute, we need to up the tax on the electric that goes in the EVs? I don't know. I mean, I know in New Zealand, obviously, they're charging road user charges on those vehicles as well to try and create some kind of real revenue from them because they're destroying our roads. But it seems like the goalposts have shifted, and just interesting, really. Just memories that are coming back from over the years. Purple Monkey. EV peeps laughing at us all. Yes, I said that exactly to Mrs. Mechanic yesterday. That all the EV owners out there will be laughing their heads off now that the fuel prices have gone up. It's all right. They won't stay high for long. We still have real cars, right? I like my petrol and diesel powered vehicles. I don't like EVs, as you all well know. But the more EVs on the road, the more petrol for me, right? And as demand drops, so should the price, in theory. John, Mr. Nuttall, now have to go via America, but UK passport water damaged, so not going to clear US control. Holy crap. So now we'll need a new one. Would have been fine via the other routes. Jeez, you're stuck in the US with no passport. They'd bounce you back, wouldn't they? That is bad news. And passports are not cheap. Bit of a rigmarole to get one sorted out. Connor K. Morning, Connor. Welcome to my very dark workshop. The power has been turned off to the village. They're doing some line work at the moment. When all the crap in the Middle East ends, it will still take some time to get oil production back to speed due to tankers being relocated to other parts of the world and very high ship insurance. Yeah, they always seem to be very lethargic about bringing the prices back down, but very, very quick to put the prices up. I hear what you're saying, Connor, and I'm sure what you say there helps to justify it a little bit, but I think I think there's more to it than that. I think the fuel companies here in New Zealand at least see it as maybe a bit of an excuse to, bring some decent money in for a time, whilst they've got the consumer by the short and curlies. Not good. Roger Heaps. Now they're building a data center about 3 kilometers from my house that should send electricity price through the roof here as well. Oh, great. Absolutely fantastic. Simon. The oil in transformers is a good diesel substitute. Ran my old Escort van on that. Really? Are the people out there draining transformers? Nicking the oil out of them to run the cars? Sounds a bit dangerous to me. I'd stay well away. But I suppose if it's old transformers that are going for scrap, the oil's got to go somewhere. Seeing what, if you've got the right contacts, why not use it? Escort van. Nick used to have one of those at college, a white one. Both rear wheel bearings were completely shot. There were no seats in the back, obviously. So whenever we went anywhere as a group in his van, used to get a massive headache from the drone through the tin of the van. From the rear wheel bearings. I don't think he ever bothered fixing them. They were just going down the road. It was just a nightmare. He didn't care. I think he sold it in the end. Got a Land Rover, which had its own problems. Where do we get to? Richard Perry. Petrol and diesel is going up again in September, and electric cars from 2028 pay per mile. We've already got that here in New Zealand. They're already paying per mile. There's different rates. If it's a full EV, so only electric vehicle, then it's higher. If it's a hybrid, then the rate per kilometre is less. But it's still extra money going out, which doesn't bother me at all because I don't have an EV or a hybrid. Perfect. I did hear on the grapevine the new Suzuki Jimny from next year, so the one that we've got, the model that's been launched next year, will be a hybrid. It won't be a petrol. I mean, it'll have a petrol engine in being a hybrid, but it won't be only petrol. which is a bit of a shame. I can see why they're doing it, market forces, and having to be nice to the polar bears and things, but it's an off-roader, for God's sake. It doesn't want to be a hybrid. You've got to keep things simple, not complicated, because it's going to break, leave you stranded. Roger Heaps, we used to claim tax back on petrol for farm use, and it gave us 65 cents a litre back. Wow. You see, you can't do that in the UK. That's what I tried to do, basically. But they wouldn't even entertain the thought of giving money back to the consumer. No chance. Simon, stuck in the UK with no passport, you get put in a hotel beginning with the letter F. I've not been to that hotel, I don't think. John Nuttall, Peter Kay says put big light on law. Oh dear. Okay, crew, what are we up to? 9. Oh, we're nearly there. We've nearly done an hour and a half. What the hell? Laptop battery it's doing well, actually. 63% remaining. Phone, no idea, but I've had it on a power bank charger, so we should be okay there. My other phone that's giving me internet for the laptop, what's that? That's still at 100%. So the old power bank's doing its job. Fantastic. Okay, crew. Well, I think we're about there. We've had a quick look at the new micrometer. We've had a look at the jig that I've made for the crankshaft and camshaft measurements, for the run out measurements. Also a great stand to have it when we're doing the load measurements and stuff as well, in the journals and things. So that'll make life a lot easier filming. Keeps everything, it gets it up and makes the camera angles a lot easier for me as well. So hopefully I'll get those videos made early next week, on an evening, obviously. Just depends how things pan out, what time I get finished. And you'll see those hit the channel. So that's about it from me. Apologies the power hasn't come back on. It's probably going to be off all day. I will see you again in 2 weeks' time. What? With power, yes, hopefully. I have paid the bill, by the way. I keep saying that, but I have paid the bill. So I'll see you again in a couple of weeks' time, 8:30 AM New Zealand time, in the workshop. All right, crew, thanks for watching. We'll see you around. Over and out.